Welcome to another exciting game of World Chess Championship. This is game 11 and Nepo is in must-win situation since I already lost 3 games to Magnus and he has to win at least 3 games out of 4 to force a tiebreak and he has to draw one game too. So without further ado, let's dive straight into this wonderful game and can Nepo create some sort of winning chances with the white pieces. So he opens with this e4, e5 by Magnus, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4. This is the Italian game, and now the two knight defense with this knight f6, d3, bishop c5, c3, d6, and we have castles. So this is the Juco piano, and now a5, gaining some control in the queen side. So we have rook e1, and now this bishop is getting back to a7 since Magnus just want to avoid when this d pawn is pushed. So we have knight a3, and now this knight can come to c2, then e3, and this knight would be a very good square, and it would be placed remarkably because it controls all of the central squares. So we have h6 taking any further possibilities of jumping this bishop. So we have knight back to c2, and now this knight is ready to jump on this e3 square. So we have bishop e3 challenging the strong bishop. So we have captures, and now rook e8 nicely developing a4. Nepo also wants to play in the queen side and wants to avoid any further possibilities of pushing this black pawn further on a4. So we have bishop e6 nicely developing and challenging the strong bishop. So we have captures, and now queen jumps on b3 square, attacking this pawn. There are two ways to deal with it. Either you push this pawn or you play this cunning move, this knight e7. And now you see, if you go for this capture, then you can play this rook to b8, and you will have to play this. There is only one move, and now you further harass this queen, and if you fall into this trap by capturing it, then your queen will be trapped, and now this queen is trapped, and this is simply lost game for Nepo. So after this you would have to go back, and then you see this rook captures on b2 square. So this is quite playable, but this was not played in the game, and Magnus played this pawn move, protecting it. So we have rook a d1 further developing, and now this knight is getting on e7, saying okay, your knight is really well placed on e3. So this knight can challenge by just looking after these squares. So we have h3 taking any further possibilities of this knight to jump whenever this knight moves, and also this knight can come here on h2 square to maneuver it. So we have this knight on h2, rook d8 further developing the rook, and now we see this knight to g4 challenging this knight. So we have captures. You could capture with the knight, but this knight is nicely placed in e8 e3 square, so you do not want to further re-maneuver it. So we have d5 challenging the center since you allowed it. So we have d4. We did not see any capture, but now we have captures and attacking this knight. So we did not see this, and we have this capture in the center by Nepo. You cannot go for this capture because after this your queen is under attack. So you really want to capture here with the check, and after this check you will have to move your queen back, and after this you get this position where white is just having a wonderful position, and this game would definitely be lost for Magnus. So you cannot go for this capture right away. So after this rook moves first, and now this queen is coming on c2 further harassing this rook. So we have rook f4, and now g3. This is the blunder made by Nepo, and the game is simply lost for Nepo. You can just pause the video to try. Although this rook is attacked, but you just do not care about the rook and you just capture it. And that's what was played by Magnus. He just found it. And after this capture, Magnus just delivered a check, and now this king moves. So we have another check. If you go here, then this is simply game over. After this capture, you would have to defend your rook, so this knight can jump into the attack. Now you are threatening some mating ideas because there would be checkmate from here. So you'd have to just defend it with the queen. Or if you go here, then it would just be checkmate into. You go here, and this is checkmate. So you do not want to do that. And after this, you would have to play this move. Then we see some of the tactics working here, not with the knight. First you deliver this check, and whenever this king moves, you come here with this knight, and now you are attacking this rook. So what do you have? You would have to capture this pawn, and after this capture, you allow this knight check. You would have to go back. So we have some trades happening here, and now you get this position where black is simply up a whole knight and nicely winning position. So this would be great for Carlsen, but that was not played in the game. And Nepo, after this check, retreated the king on g1 square. So we have this knight f5, which is not as good as it was. It was very important to capture this with the pawn. So you do not have this king capture because you have this skewer and your queen would be lost. This is simply winning, so you do not want to do that. And after this capture, you will have to capture with this queen, and now game is simply over. This rook is coming here, so there is only one move you can defend. You would have to play here, and after you deliver this check, you would have to go here, and the game is simply over. You would have to deliver some of the checks. You delivered this check, you would have to move forward, and now you can deliver this check. You would certainly go here, and now you threaten a checkmate from here. So obviously you would have to avoid it, and after this you avoid, you deliver this check, and now you are just getting checkmated. You would have to just defend it with the queen. Otherwise, if you go up the board, you can just get checkmating idea. After this, rook is moving on g4 square, and you are threatening checkmate from here, and this cannot be stopped. So you want this pawn to be further pushed, but this doesn't help. You get this check because there is only one move left. You would have to come here, and you deliver this spectacular checkmate. So you do not have this move to play, and the game was simply over after this capture. But this was not played in the game, and Magnus found this knight f5. This is also not losing, simply winning, but this is not the forced line we discussed right now. So after this move, the knight is coming here, and Magnus just want to deliver this check, but this pawn is getting really risky for Magnus. So we have this pawn captures first, a check from this queen, and now this knight is jumping here, attacking this rook, and now Nepo just offered a queen trade. It's obvious, if you go for the queen trade right now, you would just lose the game, right? Because after this pawn captures, sorry, this is not, after this captures, you do not have this knight capture here, and you will have to go for this. Otherwise, if you go for here, then this pawn is getting marching forward, and your rook is under attack. So you would have to go here. Otherwise, if you play this, then this check is certainly gonna win the game for Nepo. So this is not good. And after this, Magnus found the interesting move, this check. So we do not have to worry about this capture. And after this, the trade happens here. And what is the difference? Here, when you go for this rook capture, then you are getting this check, and you would have to just play this rook capture, and now you have time to recollect your pawn, and this is fairly simple, and this was played in the game. So we have the rook coming into the game attacking the pawn, and this move was really important, this g6, because you want to prevent this f pawn to be pushed forward. So we have this b4, a takes b4, now rook takes b4 and rook a2, further saying okay, this pawn cannot move now. King is marching in the center, we have h5, king d5. This is obviously a mistake, and this king is getting into the center, but you would have to defend this pawn. You would have to stop this pawn because this is really a passed pawn and you cannot stop it. So we have this h4, the pawn is marching forward, and victory is just a matter of time for Magnus. We have h3, now we have this capture, now the pawn is just one step from promotion. So we have rook b1, and now this check takes place. So this king captures, and there's a stunning move that was played by the Carlsen. We have this rook to b3 check, and now you see the problem. You are in check, so the king should move. So you would have to go for the capture.
Victory
and now
for Magnus.
queen appears on
And
the board.
with this win,
It's
he
really
just
wonderful. Now this
got
pawn is
2
marching
points
forward, but
ahead of
this doesn't
Nepo.
help.
And it is extremely
this queen
difficult
is
for
really in
Nepo
time
to
to protect
equalize.
that
And I think he's
pawn
surely
from promotion.
gonna
So we
win
have
this
one more
championship.
move,
But
queen
let's see
c5,
what is there
and
in the
in
future
this
games.
position, Nepo just resigned the
So
king.
I will cover
because
all the
you
games
do not have further moves.
which
You would
is
have to play
remaining.
this, and
So you can subscribe this channel
you
until now,
just
and I will see you soon
lose
in my
every
next
piece,
video.
and
Till then,
your pawn is
thanks a
never
lot.
going to be promoted because queen is still on the board. So what a fantastic victory on this move 29. Nepo just resigned the game, and a wonderful victory for Magnus. I hope you enjoyed this game, and this means Magnus has won this World Cup championship since there's only 3 games left, and even Magnus loses all the games, which is quite unlikely. Then after 2 he will be the world champion. So I will see you soon in my next video. Till then, you should consider subscribing this channel.